Welcome to Keepers, sponsored by Sprint, the very best fantasy football show on the internet. Opinion of the host, results may vary. We're going into week 3, which means we have just enough information to make bad decisions. Instead of the usual trading block, let's talk sits and starts for this week. Michael Bush, start him. Matt Forte injury Christmas came early. Sam Bradford, sit him. He was only awesome against the Redskins to lure you into starting him. Don't fall for it. Michael Turner, sit him. He's looked awful. San Diego is the top rushing D through 2 weeks, and his 1 touchdown on the year was the result of 3 consecutive carries from the 1. Let him drink and drive from your bench. Metaphorically, I mean, drinking and driving kills. Start Jamaal Charles. Charles owners are up in arms after just 3 rushing yards last week, but that's because he left the game with soreness in his surgically repaired knee. He'll be back against the Saints, aka the worst rushing defense in the league. Andy Dalton. You know how Sam Bradford looked awesome against the Skins after they lost 2 of their best defensive players for the year? It's Dalton's turn this week. Start him. Sit Jeremy Maclin. He's got a hip contusion, and I don't like the matchup at Arizona. Those NFC West defenses are for real this year. If you've got players going up against the Niners, Seahawks, or Cards, be prepared for the possibility of an off week. Lance Moore. Give him a start in deep leagues. I love this KC-New Orleans game, which features 2 of the worst scoring defenses in the league. Start all your Saints and Chiefs. No, not Matt Castle. You shouldn't own Matt Castle. Why would you do that? Okay, before you go making those changes, let's get to this week's reality check. Chase hit me up on Twitter to say, watched your hire and fire for week 2. All the fires had more points than the hires. Ouch. And not completely true, sir. I picked Alex Smith over Josh Freeman, and the 2 had similar lines, except Freeman threw for 2 INTs compared to Smith's clean slate. That was the right call, and I stand by it. I also picked Jonathan Dwyer 4 points before going down with Turf Toe over Beanie Wells, who got 6.8 points. And I missed on that one, but hey man, if you want to start Beanie Wells, that's your funeral. I'll fess up on this though. I got burned by Randall Cobb, who I picked over Greg Little. Little scored his first TD of the season, while Cobb got just 2 touches for 4.8 points. If you ended up losing because of any of my suggestions, feel free to blame me. Go ahead, get it out. I'm here for you. And now, the Sprint Unlimited Upside. This is the fantasy player guaranteed to go off in week 3, and that man is Drew Brees. Brees has been surprisingly human so far this year, but he gets to play against the walking dead of Kansas City, who have given up 75 points to the Falcons and Bills over the first 2 weeks. Touchdowns ahoy! Let's go to Isaac with the weather report.
It's just as I suspected. Matt, Peyton Manning has thrown 3 TDs and 3 ints this season, causing many fans to believe that his injury from 2 seasons ago is still lingering. Take a look at that. But according to my calculations, the very thin mountainous air of Mile High Stadium is causing Peyton Manning's passes to travel longer distances at very unpredictable speeds, which led me to surmise that the air up there is causing Peyton to play a little less fair. Let's go have some puns.
Thank you, Isaac. Impeccable science as always. Okay, time for hire and fire. These are players owned in more than 50% of leagues that you should drop, and players owned in less than half of all leagues you should add to your team. Hire Brandon LaFell and fire Titus Young. I've been high on LaFell since the preseason, and he has not disappointed, producing more than 11 points in each of his first 2 games. Look for him to continue against a subpar Giants secondary. Young, on the other hand, has just 25 yards receiving in 2 games, where the Lions were throwing desperately to catch up. He'll improve as the season goes along, but not significantly enough to be a regular fantasy play. Hire Andre Brown and fire Roy Halou. Tom Coughlin is killing me. I drafted David Wilson specifically because it was a matter of time until Ahmad Bradshaw sprained his neck. Then Coughlin went and put Brown ahead of Wilson on the depth chart. Coughlin! As for Halou, he got 0 rushes and just 1 catch last week against the Rams. He'd be 3rd on the depth chart if Mike Shanahan had a running back depth chart. It's actually more of a weighted lottery system. There's a drawing every Sunday morning before game time. At tight end, hire Dennis Pitta and fire Jacob Tamme. Now, I like Tamme. I own him in a couple leagues, but he doesn't get enough targets to compile significant yardage, so every week comes down to whether or not he scores a touchdown. Dennis Pitta, on the other hand, has emerged as a favorite target of Joe Flacco and looks to be the more consistent play. If Pitta's already owned in your league, look for Martellus Bennett. He's owned in just 25% of leagues and has become Eli Manning's 3rd option and a top target in the red zone. That's it for week 3 of Keepers. For more fantasy football talk, check out Fantasy War Room on SBNation.com. Your outside activity of the week? A long walk by yourself, cursing your decision to draft Chris Johnson. Set your lineups. I'll see you next week.